Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1169, 1169. Happy Tuesday. Good morning. It's Hobby Evolution. We're going to talk sorting today and a little bit of food talk, beer brats. It is April. Can you believe April's over already? Time just flies as we get older. You know, we go. It's crazy how fast time goes. You know, I remember like when you're a kid, it just seemed like a year. Oh my God. Like 4 more years of school. I've got to go to 4 more years of school. It's gonna take forever. And then all of a sudden it's like, man, 4 years flashed by. You get to be a senior in high school or senior in college. When I went back to school, because I went to community college right out of high school, and then hated school, and so I got into radio while I was at community college, and decided between it depended on which school had the best party that weekend, whether it was Western Illinois or it was Illinois State. So each semester when I met with my the person who like helps you pick your studies. What the hell do you call those people? What do you call those people? Anyway, when I went to meet each semester when I was at Blackhawk College, shout out Blackhawk. I got a lot of respect on Blackhawk. Thank you, Dan, academic advisor. I'd have to meet with everybody meets with their academic advisor every semester. Shout out to Blackhawk. Thank you, Max. Shout out to Blackhawk College, though. I never get anything from Blackhawk College. Western Illinois University, man, they are sharks in the water. They are hitting you up for money every other day. But not Blackhawk. They must be like independently a wealthy school or something, because I don't get a damn anything from Blackhawk. And anyway, I'd meet with the academic advisor. Depends on which. I was not a scholarly guy, so it was based on social activities. It's like this semester, I had a lot more fun on Cherry Street down in Bloomington Normal than I did on Adams Street in Macomb. And then vice versa. And then the next semester, it's like, oh man, I had a great time partying at Western this semester. I want to go to WIU. I want to go to ISU. And my friends to this, like most of my friends from high school that I keep in contact with today all went to ISU. Well, actually, let's see. Two of them did. Two went to U of I. I wasn't smart enough to get into U of I. And then one just went to Blackhawk. So, and then like my friends that went to Western, we really don't talk that much anymore. So it was Western or ISU. When I worked in radio, the owner of the radio station sold the stations that I worked for. And we had to like reapply, but I was leaving to go to school at West. I ended up deciding on Western Illinois. Must have been a great party that semester. And so the owner said, I know some of the people in Macomb at the radio station. So I got in and I got the job, and I'm like, screw this. I got a full-time job in radio. That's what I was going to go to school for anyway. Flash forward about 8 years or so, and I realized I should probably go back and get my degree. And I remember sitting at the academic advisor's office as I was, okay, I want to go to school for business. Okay, well, here's, kind of guiding me through everything, and chose marketing. And I just remember like, well, and she said, you're going to have to take this course load. And I think at the beginning, I don't even know if I had been hired yet at the university. So it's like, 16 credit hours each semester. I'm like, oh, piece of cake. I can do that. And with my workload at the university, not a piece of cake. So I ended up doing like 12 hours a semester, because I was basically working 3 jobs on top of taking 12 hours. And so that 2-year plan turned into 2.5. And I think eventually it was 3 full years. And I did take, I think I took 2 summer school courses. Of course, they were like the math courses. They are easier in summer school. But I remember sitting there and thinking, 2 years, I've got to waste 2 years of my life in school again. Haven't I been through this enough? And all of a sudden it was like that was fast. And here we are. So time flies, man. I don't know how we got talking about that. Time, it flies. So we're going to talk about sorting because I did some sorting last night. I want to talk food, I made some beer brats. I did them a different way this time, the beer brats. So I bought these brats a couple days ago, and they've been sitting in the fridge, and we've had some, like, it was kind of cold for a few days, and then it rained for like freaking 5 days. So there hasn't been good grilling weather. I want some nice weather to grill. So I had these brats, and I went and got some beer yesterday, and got some 312 from Goose Island. It's a good favorite, low ABV beer. And my wife comes home, and I'm like, are you in the mood for dinner? What's, and she's like, yeah, what are you? And I'm like, well, I've got those brats that I want to grill. And she's like, oh yeah, make those brats because otherwise they're going to go bad because they've just been in the fridge for a few days. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I wanted to boil them in beer and then finish them off on the grill. So I went online. I just Googled like beer brats. How long do I boil and all that? And I didn't want to just boil them in beer and throw them on the grill and just that's that. I wanted to spice them up a little bit. So I found one random recipe. And so I boiled, so there were 5 brats total. I used 3 cans of 312 and garlic powder, salt, pepper, and red pepper flakes. It smelled good. And so I boiled that and then threw them on the grill, and they were good. Not great, but is a brat ever great? Is a hot dog ever great? I don't think so. It's just like, hit the spot. So that's how I did my beer brats. I'm not a hot dog or brat guy at home. It's like, if I'm going to fire up the grill, because I'm not one of those guys that uses the grill like every day in the summer. It's like a weekly thing. So when I put meat on the grill, it's going to be burgers or a fat steak. I'm not pissing around with a hot dog. I'm not fucking around with a brat. We're going big, going home. So last night it was beer brats, though. Let's check out the chat. I'm going to talk a little sorting today. Matty Ice, good morning. Mr. Archer, what's happening? Good morning. Cubs win last night. Hey. Dan's in the house. Cubs win. Beat Mark's Mets. Herman is here. Good morning. Philly Joe's in the house. What's happening? Dan says tomorrow is Labor Day in some Asian countries, so I have tomorrow off. Hey, how about that? Labor Day in Asia. AA. Academic advisor. That's the words we were looking for. Herman says, my grandfather used to say life was like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes. Ain't that the truth? Man? George in the house. Good morning. Dan wants to know what George is drinking tonight. Lucky Dan. They don't give us Labor Day off anymore up here. Oh, boy. Dan shakes his head at that. Stay where you're at. David, good morning. James says, sorting cards can be fun at times, but it's a pain. It is. It's both. It can be relaxing, and then it can be a pain. Last night it was mostly fun. It's been a while. Well, not really. But I try to sort and be somewhat consistent with my sorting. I think I found the perfect sorting strategy. So I want to talk about my perfect sorting strategy. Now, your perfect sorting strategy may differ from what I've come up with, but I had an epiphany thanks to Scotty Dubs, and I think I found a better way to sort. George is not drinking anything tonight, about to go to bed. Dan says there's a regional coordinator position opening down here. There you go, George. Go down to where Dan's at, and you get Labor Day off. James says when a player gets really hot and you have 5-row boxes full of product, it's fun. Yeah, that's fun when you're looking for the next hot prospect and you're going through and it's like, oh, hey. Those are fun sorting. When you buy a big bulk lot and you find a bunch of goodies, that's fun. When you sort a bunch of 91 Fleer, not fun. Not fun. So I try to mix it up when I'm sorting Cubs, like a box of junk wax, because it's got to get sorted sometime. And if you cherry pick, and I've been known to do this, you cherry pick the good boxes, and then all of a sudden you're left at the end with a bunch of 88 to 92 crap, and you don't want to sort anymore. So I'm trying to, okay, it's junk wax time. I've got to power through this junk wax to get to the good stuff again. Art's in the house. Good morning. Dan wants to know, have I drank my mushroom coffee yet? No. I don't know. I don't know if it's fear or laziness, but I have not tried the mushroom coffee, have not even opened it. In fact, I ran out of coffee yesterday. And instead of just doing the mushroom coffee, I have coffee bean coffee, but I was out of the already grinded, coffee. So instead of just trying the mushroom coffee, I grinded the coffee beans so I could make regular coffee. So maybe it was I drunk when I bought the mushroom coffee? I don't know. But why? Because I haven't, it's been over a week and I haven't even tried it yet. One of these days. I'll drink the mushroom coffee about the time I spin back around and tell you how to scale your business. Remember that? The glory days of Hobby Evolution, when my internet would go out every show and we'd come back. Oh, we're going to scale your business. Like I tried to do a video on scaling your business and it took like 3 times and my internet just wouldn't allow it. Just wasn't meant to happen. Somebody asked yesterday when I'm going to do the 60-second videos. I'm closing it on that because it is something I want to script out because it's got to be 60 seconds. So I've got to go back into my radio days and do some script writing and timing. This is like going back. See, my radio days actually did come in handy for future Bo. To do 60-second YouTube videos about baseball cards. Who would have thought back in 2004? This is going to come in handy one day. I could look at a script when and I think anybody in radio, once you've produced enough commercials, you can look at a script and you'll tell the sales, and this is the ultimate. I had an early lesson on sales versus operations. And since I was on air talent, we were operations. And there's always sales and operations, always butting heads, no matter what industry you're in, radio, transportation, baseball cards. There's always a butting of the heads of operations versus sales. So the sales guys, of course, they want to get as much information as possible into this commercial, and it sounds like shit if you do. It's like, this is like 45 seconds, dude. Like, no. I read it, and I'm like, did you time it out? Well, no, I just read it and looked at the clock. That's no. Doesn't work like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read this script. Tell me if I'm reading it too slow or too fast. I'd read the script. I'd pull this script down. For professional services rendered during the period January 15th, 2024 through April 3rd, 2024, as per the enclosed billing detail. Thanks for allowing us to be of service. Mike or CPAs. So I don't know how long that was, but that's how you would read a script. And I'm like, dude, that was 10 seconds. And he say I had to read that in 5 seconds. He's like, well, I read it in 5 seconds. I'm like, okay, you read this script. For professional services rendered during the period January 15th, 2024 through April 3rd, 2024, as per the enclosed billing detail. Thank you for allowing us to be of service, micro CPAs. I'm like, dude, you just read it in 10 seconds. Well, I read it in 5 seconds in the office. I'm like, well, it's a 10-second script, dude. It's not 5 seconds. So that's what you would go. So you could like look at a script and like, oh, that's 40 seconds all the way. Well, we need all the, and so they'd take it back to the client. We need all that information. No, you don't. You don't need all that information. Because there's always a tag at the end, and it grinds my gears when I'm driving and I'm listening to the radio. And for all of your, what's like a bullshit thing that you don't need? For all your, what's like a car lift, like to make your lift. For all your car lift needs, called 888-555-4400. And it's like, okay, first of all, you don't need, and I learned this from like an old veteran in radio. He's like, you need air and water and food. You don't need some luxury service. You don't need luxury items. So don't do that. It turned into phone numbers was big, unless it's a memorable phone number. Don't put phone numbers in, because most people are driving and they're not going to, they can't write it down. I guess now you can say, hey Siri, write notes 555-4433. And then later internet, it's like now we have, but that was pre-smartphone. I don't know. Maybe you are driving down the road and you can, hey Siri it. So much has changed. And just think in 20 years, how much things have we changed more in the last 20 years than the previous? Although now you think about, because 20 years was only 2004, which is hard to believe. But then the period 2004 to 1980, a lot. I bet more changed in that period, in that 20-year period, than the most recent. I mean, a lot's changed in the last 20 years, but probably not as much change as 1984 to 2004. And then you look 1964 to 1984. I wasn't around then. But let's just look at technology. Like what changed from 1964 to 1984? Sure, cable TV. You went from mostly black and white. I think color TV was out by 64, but it wasn't in every household. We had VCRs come about by the late 70s. Early 80s, cable TV. So a lot changed. 44 to 65, I have no idea. We went from black and white to color TV. I don't think people had, and probably not too many people had TVs in 1944, especially in 1944 with the war. 1924 to 1944. Then we get into the weeds. Anyway, moving on. Dan hasn't seen 312 here in a while. It's not like I like 312, but sometimes it's like, It's like I have 312 now, but I probably won't get any more for a while. It's one of those. It's like, just not in the mood for it. It's kind of like ribs. Like, I'm like, oh man, I want some 312. And then you have 312 and you're good. Fried chicken. I'm like that with fried chicken. I'm like, man, I'm craving fried chicken. You have fried chicken? I'm good for a year. Ribs on the grill. Oh man, I can't wait to just put a rack of ribs on the grill. I have ribs. It's like not as good as I was expecting, but still good. Not as good as I was expecting. I'll wait a year. Good morning, Mark. Sorting cards is very therapeutic. I sip some Johnny Walker Black while sorting my cards in number order. Tip my Mets cap to your Cubbies last night, even though my team can fuck up a wet dream. There you go. Hey, so can the Cubs. So can the Cubs. But yeah, it was nice to see the Cubs make a comeback and fly the W last night. 4-leaf cards. Good morning. Bill Simus in the house. What's happening? Max says, yes, both are done. Both are great if done correctly. Most people try and do too much. RS Math says, I'm a set collector, so I sort by number. I use BCW modular sorting bins so I can lap sort and put the whole thing to the side if I get interrupted mid-sort. That's what's great about the sorting tray. I use the same thing. And basically the only thing I use, well, actually, no, I take that back because I do sort some sets. Also, if it's a new release, I'll use it sometimes for that. Otherwise, it's basically all for my Cubs sorting. And I've got each, A, B, C, D, and then I combine E and F, G, H. I combine I, J, K, L, M, N. I combine O and P. I combine Q and R, S, T. I combine UV. There is no X. And then Y and Z are separate. So yes, I love the BCW tray. And that's, so I used to be a floor sorter. But thanks to Scotty Dubs, who came over and sorted a bunch of cards, that kind of kickstarted. He sorted like 2 4-row, 5-row boxes. And I'm like, are you a floor sorter or are you a table sorter? So I've got a coffee table in the rec room. He's like, table. And I'm like, you know what? This is handy. So when I sorted last night, I feel I was more productive while sorting, but I think it's more productive sorting, and it's probably easier on my back. Although when I'm on the floor, it's not as comfortable on the floor. Or wait, it's not as comfortable on the couch leaning over, but it's a lot easier to just like stretch or like lay down or just stand up. If I'm on the floor, I'm just like hammering them out. So I think I like the couch coffee table combo as opposed to just spread on the floor. Plus, when I spread out onto the floor, I like have piles all over the place. When I have the coffee table, it's like, okay, I've got the piles, and I think it's just going to be easier to put everything away. Illinois State. Kyle, good morning. Mikey says, I was in the honors college and magna cum laude when I graduated. Cooter's in the house. I was neither. Dan says, George and I live in different provinces. They each do their own thing educational-wise, but I think his provincial education office does things ass backwards. George, get the hell out of there. RS Math, pro tip, numbers sort in 3 rounds. First by ones, next by tens, finally by hundreds. And they are magically in number order, even with any dupes right next to its twin in the number order stack. Numbers sorted 3 rounds. So here's how I sort by numbers. So I'm sorting my Cubs by player. But when I rip and flip, Topps Heritage, Big League Series 1, Bowman coming up. When I sort by product release, I do sort by numbers. So here's how I sort, and this is the most efficient way for me. I sort in hundreds, and then tens, and then finally by ones. So it sounds like I'm doing it backwards. I'm doing it ass backwards from RS Math. So I'm curious how you do it first by ones. I'd have to see a video on that because I'm trying to envision this, and I don't know how that works. So I do it first by hundreds, so 100, 200, 300, and then basically what I do. So I'm ripping boxes. I will say I've got a case. I've got 12 boxes, Heritage. I rip a box as I open each pack. I'm putting them in. So here's 100, here 200, 300, and 60s, 1 through 100 go in their own pile. And then inserts, I've got the inserts laid out. And usually the inserts I'll put in each of their own pile right from the start instead of just having one massive pile of inserts. So I'll do the inserts. Here's New Age Performers and Then and Now, Flashbacks, Chrome. So when I'm done with the whole box, I've got, giant piles of 1 through 100, hundreds, 200s, 300s. And then I'll go and do it by tens and then lay them out. So that's how I do the number sort. But I'm interested in your method just to see it. My method may not work for me. Your method may not work for my method may not work for me. My method may not work for you. Your method may not work for me, but you never know. I'd like to see your method. Value Box Digger wants to know what's sorting. Tracy, good morning. David says that's the way I sort cards too. Interesting. Value Box Digger says, Hobby Evolution, come to learn how to sort baseball cards and instead get educated on how to read a commercial. That's what we do. 1,000. And Value Box Digger's been with us since episode 1 or shortly thereafter. You should know this. 1,169 episodes later. That's how we roll on Hobby Evolution. Sometimes we don't even talk about the topic. You're getting the topic in the first 20 minutes. That's a rarity. Usually it's an hour. Max, yes, we have changed. People don't listen to the radio anymore. Aux Bluetooth ruined that. I still listen to the radio. I do listen if I'm just driving around town. I listen to the radio. If I'm going to a card show, which, by the way, the next card show that I will be at, the premier card shows in Loves Park, Illinois, Indoor Sports Center, Saturday, May 11th. I'll have all new bargain boxes, so come see me. Loves Park is right next to Rockford, Saturday, May 11th. So when I drive to Loves Park, I'll probably throw on a podcast, but sometimes I just want to listen to music. So I, in fact, probably listen to the radio more than I listen to podcasts. I never say never. Every once in a while, I will listen to music from my phone or like Pandora, but very rarely. Like if I'm trying to hype myself up, which doesn't happen, every once in a while, I will listen, to Pandora through my car, but usually it's podcasts or radio, and usually for the most part it's radio. But I went through a time where I was listening to like only podcasts, and now it's like mostly radio. RS Matt says, I listen to sports games on the radio when making or fixing things, talk radio if there is no live sports, on local radio or streaming through my voice assistant. T206 Kid says, to steal a line from Casey Stengel at Mark, this team finds ways to lose I never knew existed. Todd says, the randomness of Hobby Evolution is why I enjoy it so much. We all know Bo will get to the topic eventually. Eventually, sometimes. And sometimes we just sprinkle it in. We talked a little sorting. We might get back to sorting. We might not. That dude from Duryea, perfect radio bumper, was the old monster truck guy. Sunday. Cooter says, did anyone else notice Bo left W out of his alphabet? Is that from... Oh, but W is in my alphabet. When I was just reading, did I leave out W when I was reading it? W has its own letter. So it's what? T, UV is combined, UV, W, no X, Y, and Z. So there is a W. But that's funny. And it's what's crazy? And these are some things. See, we're back to sorting again. These are some of the things that you notice when sorting, especially in volume. So with my Cubs, when I'm sorting new Cubs cards, there's a lot of A. Adbert Alzolay, Miguel Amaya, Albert Almora from a few years ago, But then you go the junk wax era, it was Paul Ossenmacher or bust. Like he was the only, and there's a couple other guys, but as far as guys with a lot of cards, it was basically just Paul Ossenmacher. And then there's what was another letter, like junk wax heavy. S is always S. S is by far the most popular letter. D is a big one. M is a big one. I'm trying to think. But and it's funny, it goes in like there's a letter in the early 80s that it's like, wow, this is maybe it's C. And I'm trying to think of who would have been, maybe that's not accurate. There was a letter in the 80s for the Cubs that's not a common letter today. B is a big one, especially here recently with Chris Bryant, Javier Baez. I'm sure there's others that I'm forgetting, but it's funny you realize, like, if you're going through newer cards and it's like, oh wow, I'm filling up this letter in the tray. RS Matt says, glad I sort by number and not name. I don't know how you have a sorting tray with that many letter bins. I use 11 bins for my sorting and bin for inserts. Holy shit. I use one bin, but I have to, like, when I'm sorting by name, like, obviously some of them get filled up. So I've got a pile. I've got a pile of, S. So, yeah, because I use probably the same BCW sorting tray that you do. And I think Cooter mentioned it on Twitter when I had tweeted the photo out. And, do you go A through E or W through Z at the top? And so I do, A down to Z, top to bottom, because that's just kind of, that's how we read. But also, like, when you're using these modular trays from BCW, it's also, the top ones have the most space. The bottom ones have the least amount of space. So it's like, you want to have the letters that you have the most of with the most space, and A through E, definitely there's more cards A through E, and I combine E and F, than there are T's down at the bottom, T through Z. There's very few Z's, Zambrano, Zimmer, Zeal, very few Y's, Young, basically that's it. No X's. W is not a name with the Cubs that there's a ton of cards. It's I'd have to go through and check, but W is not as high as you would think. And then UV is, barely any. And T is not a big one. Where are we at? James says, you get a case of Bowman 24. Did not buy a case. I did 3 hobby boxes. And then I'll try to find blasters. I don't think Topps offered blasters on their pre-sale, so I didn't get any blasters. But I may just, I wonder if Blowout has blasters, because Bowman comes out next week, next Wednesday. Blowout cards, because I would like to get some blasters. I still feel that blasters are the way to go on Bowman. They do $30 for a blaster. Okay. Oh, blasters though are not scheduled to release until May 17th, according to Blowout. Well, isn't that interesting? They have 23 Bowman blasters for just $25. That's interesting. Who were the firsts in 2023, last year's Bowman? I can't remember. Maybe there's a reason they're only 25. James went a little crazy on the blasters. So that's interesting. It says blasters release day is May 17th, while hobby is May 8th. So maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just wait till they're in stores. Four leaf card says everyone keeps telling me to do ones, tens, hundreds, but I'm just mentally stuck on 100s, tens, ones. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I'm with you, four leaf. Peter's in the house. What's happening? RS Math says ones, sort zeros together, ones together, etc. Collect the 10 stacks back into one main stack, nines at top, etc. with zeros at bottom. This sounds like Common Core shit. I don't like this new wave sorting that you've got going on. I don't like it. I'm sticking to my hundreds. I don't need that Common Core. Dude, good morning. Kyle says, instead of saying I saw on Twitter, I'm going to start prefixing my stories and info with I read in the paper. You know, I don't miss the newspaper. I miss the newspaper, but I don't miss the news. The newspaper sucks today. Have you read a newspaper? It's like bullshit. Like, what happened to the news? I know what happened to the newspapers, but it's just garbage. The papers that are put out by you. So basically, newspapers are owned by like 3 or 4 companies. Like every newspaper, there's no mom and pop. It's all owned by, what is it, Lee and Gatehouse. I should know. I worked for Gatehouse back in the day. I think it's Gatehouse, Lee, and there's a couple others. And they've just like buried newspapers into the ground. So like all of the writers that worked for these newspapers have like collaborated, like in Kiwani, they put out a great, like some of the former writers from the old Star Courier. And I just thought the Star Courier was no longer a newspaper in Kiwani. It is. And it's a bunch of garbage. Like, I can't believe they still print that shit. There's like no it's like all, it's garbage. Most local newspapers now are. And, but they've collaborated, and it's kind of like The Athletic, like at a small market scale. The Athletic is like all these people that are fired by ESPN and Sports Illustrated, and they go in and create The Athletic, which is freaking awesome. And that's what, is Kiwani, and I'm sure there's other places they've done, their own, and I'm sure it's probably online only, but it's way better than what you get from, the corporate-owned small market newspaper. RS Man says, sort the tens place, recombine with zeros at top, etc. with 9. Oh, did we just talk about that? Oh, yeah. See, when you have to do 2 comments and I don't understand any of it, I think it's much easier. Just hundreds, tens, ones. John Larson, what's up? Sorry, I just tuned in. Are we sorting system again? I completely adopted your old system used when I first started listening around episode 600. I'm just talking about sorting my Cubs cards. So I consider sorting and organizing 2 different things. So sorting is just the process of sorting my Cubs cards. This is just in my terminology. Sorting Cubs cards. And then organizing, well, I guess I can organize my Cubs also. But this is not related to my business, not related to my eBay sorting and organizing. I don't sort when it comes to my inventory. I organize, but don't sort. And I guess I guess technically I do sort somewhat, like the stuff I bought last weekend. Like, I'm not just grabbing piles out of the box and listing it. I am like sorting, like, okay, this is going to go in a quarter box. This is going to go on eBay. So there is some level of sorting when I purchase bulk. But that's the only sorting. Once I find, okay, these are going to eBay, there's no rhyme or reason for sometimes there is, throw them on eBay and then 1A, 1B, etc. Cooter says, if I am sorting a small stack, I go hundreds, 25s, and then sort the 25s in order in my hand. Quick and save space. I did leave out the W. Johnny M., good morning. My sorting consists of pulling stars, rookies, inserts, parallels, and chucking the rest. And when it comes to what I sell on eBay, that's kind of what I do. When I say I buy a 5-row box, I'm going to pull And really, I don't pull stars, rookies. Those just go into a pile. But I'm pulling stars, rookies, inserts, parallels. They go in the eBay pile. The rest goes into bulk or quarter box. Let's see. Oh, wait. Did I repeat? Oh, yeah. That's just, there we go. J2 Detroit, hyping yourself up with Eye of the Tiger in the Home Depot parking lot on a Saturday. Yeah. Or Costco on a Saturday. RS Matt says, my BCW bin is individual bins that lock together in any arrangement I want. Yours is fixed 3-row by 5 or so columns. Yeah. So there's, 20, how many letters in the alphabet minus EFIJ? 20? Is there 20 rows or 20 slots? So I just have one plastic bin with like 20 slots. And it's good enough for me. Brian, good morning. James says Fanatics has them. What's Fanatics have their release date at? Let's see, 2024 Bowman. I may have some fan cash at Fanatics. $30 on Fanatics. And what's the ship date? Oh, May 10th. Okay. So if you order from Fanatics, you'll get it a week earlier, approximately before blowout. Maybe I will hit up Fanatics. Thank you, James, for that little tidbit. RS Matt says I use 3 rows by 3 full columns for my 1s through 9s and 2 more bins in the 4th column for 0 and insert bin. I feel like RS Math explaining how he sorts reminds me of this meme. This is what I picture RS Matt. Come on, I need a full image. I need a full fucking image on this. Where's the image search? When I click on it, it's even smaller. Damn it. No. I want the full image. Come on. All right. So here's RS Math explaining the way he sorts. That's RS Math. That's RS Math, and that's how he sorts. 3 rows, 3 full columns for my 1s through 10s, 2 more bins in a 4th column for 0 and insert bin. I need a cigarette just reading how he sorts. Where are we at? Orlando's in the house. What's going on? Spencer Jones and Junior Caminero in 23. Caminero doesn't sell as fast as I was hoping. Spencer Jones moves. Spencer Jones has really been moving. Let's see. Max says, work smarter, not harder. Victor, good morning. RS Matt says, I'll give your 100s, 10s, 1s a try as it sounds like it would work. Just in reverse order of my sorting. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's the exact opposite. Good morning, Flawed Thinker. Gannett or Gannett. Yes, that's another one. Max says 110 1 is the same as 110 100, still making the same sort. It is. It's just, one's one way and the other's they're just opposite of each other. Good morning, Lewis. I sort by 50s, 100s, etc. Cooter has reached a point in my collecting that I usually only need to sort 1 card at a time. Sort of a bummer because I do enjoy sorting. I may have to fly up and help you get my fix. Hey, I welcome that. I have a lot to sort. Kyle says, sorting NASCAR is pretty easy for me. There's so few drivers compared to other sports that it's very easy. So how do you sort NASCAR? Do you sort it by, and I guess you could ask the same question if you're a team collector, whatever. People ask all the time, well, how do you sort your Cubs? Mainly by player. Eventually I will probably pull like team sets. I have like already made sets, team sets where I would buy like in bulk 150, 87 tops team sets. So I just leave them as is because I've got plenty of singles from 87 tops. So they'll go in the player boxes. So that's I'm pretty much right now I'm only sorting by player. I am pulling like autographs and putting those, trying to put those separately in relics. But parallels I'm putting in the player boxes as well. So I'm curious on NASCAR. Do you sort your NASCAR by driver or do you sort it by set? Stuke's in the house. He says, mostly listen to YouTube at home, content creators, sports channels, and music channels. Sirius XM in my car. I got, when I bought my last car, not this 2 cars ago or whatever, I got like the free Sirius XM for 3 months or 6 months, and I loved it. I'm like, oh man, I was like sad that it went away. And so it was expiring around Christmas time. And so my wife re-upped it for a year for Christmas. And then when my wife's like, I'm going to get you socks or something. Like she got me, I don't know what, but something like, I'm like, okay, I don't know if I can live without Sirius XM. Guess what? I live without Sirius XM. I listen to the radio, listen to podcasts, but I did love my year and 3 months with Sirius XM. And I watch so much stuff. I mean, working, either I'm in here, I have the TV on in the background. And sometimes I'm watching an old WWF pay-per-view. Sometimes I'm watching Dateline reruns. Sometimes I put a movie on. Sometimes I'll turn Pluto on and have music videos. Sometimes I'll have Pluto on and watching Cheers reruns. When I'm in the other room, the shipping room, I'll either have usually a podcast or YouTube content. Max says the modular BCWs are cool, but I'll pay 10 to 15 for the tray versus 100 plus for the bins. Oh shit, I didn't know the bins were that much. Yeah, my tray was, and I can't remember if I bought it from BCW or if I just bought it. I think I did. I think I just bought it from BC. By the way, I was pricing some you can get free here's the BC, speaking of ass backwards like George over in Korea. And I better explain myself for those that may have joined. I'm not calling Korea ass backwards. I'm calling Georgia's province for education it's ass backwards from Dan. I just want to explain that for those that may not have been watching or listening at the beginning. I'm not calling Korea ass backwards. I'm calling Georgia's school ass backwards. So ass backwards, shit. Now I can't. I was too busy trying to backpedal on that statement. BCW ass backwards. So I'm pricing out 4-row boxes, and I have a wholesale account with BCW, but I can't get free shipping. This is ass backwards. So through BCW in my wholesale account, I cannot get my products delivered because my business is out of a residential, my business address is residential and they won't ship to a residential address. But I can, as a peon without a wholesale account, I can order boxes, get free shipping to my house. And when you buy in bulk, I think it's around $4 per 4-row box if you have a wholesale account. And I think if I bought like 25, you only have to spend like $99 for free shipping. It's like $5. Like I'm only spending an extra $25, but I can actually have them deliver it. Whereas I wouldn't be able to have them delivered. And I don't think they allow cardboard. They charge for delivery on a wholesale account. At least that's what it was a year ago or whenever it was, when I'm like, okay, I'm going to find a different supply person. And that's when I went to Columbia Hobby. Well, Columbia Hobby doesn't have 4-row box. They have 5 rows. Well, I don't like 5 rows. I want 4 rows. And they don't have them at Columbia. So I'm just going to log in as a guest and have BCW ship them to my home. Let's see. J2 Detroit, just want to point out that he has math in his username. Good catch. I didn't even realize that. Good catch. Max says that meme is how I picture Bo trying to figure out RS Math's sorting method. That's also accurate. That's also accurate. Bradley says sorting modern era cards is a nightmare. Four Leaf says, I believe the ones, tens, hundreds method is more time efficient. My brain just can't get over it. Max says, figured you were pulling up the floating algebra Julia Roberts lookalike meme. Oh, I don't think I know that one. RS Matt says, educated in accounting, so I guess I like numbers and algorithms. Yes. And I think Cooter is an accountant. Cooter's got some weird-ass math going on in his head, too. You math guys, man. Dan says, don't think that's Julia Roberts. Cooter says, I sort NASCAR by the state of driver birth. Only need 3 stacks. What is it? North Carolina? What are the other states? North Carolina, Tennessee? I don't know. We're a NASCAR driver. North Carolina, I'm sure they're all from North Carolina. 4-leaf cards. The time you save on the ones, tens, hundreds is that the ones are sorted right from the get-go. So the 100s, 10s, ones takes 1 extra step. Kyle says, I sort by driver, except certain sets get pulled out into a separate pile regardless of driver. I am TTM minded, so by driver helps with that. Okay, very cool. RS Math says 12 bins were $30 as I waited for a sale. There you go. Kyle says only about 2% of my collection has been sorted. That's about 1.9% more than mine. Max says 4-leaf, but you were still sorting the ones. There's no time save regardless of what way you do it. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like again, I'm smoking that cigarette on the Always Sunny meme. Possible they have a contract with UPS FedEx. That's probably the holdup with them not shipping wholesale commercial. Oh, I'm sure it's through contracts. Max says to Dan, that's why I put the word lookalike. Getting them on sale helps. $20 for 6 is usually what I see. So I did a lot of sorting last night. I probably went through a couple thousand. So that's a nice little dent. Today I'm going to focus on shipping and listing and shipping. I've got plenty of new stuff in my inventory. Make sure to check out my eBay store. Only added a couple. I finished up adding the box factory sets, which I was surprised at the value in those factory sets. I did sell the 2018 set, sold it for $200. I was happy with that. There's some others that are comped at 150 to 200. So we'll see, but was happy with that and look to list some more later today. Bradley has a question. Of your million Cubs, what player do you have the most of? Probably Ryan Sandberg. Just based on popular player, lots of cards, and junk wax era. So pretty much with, it's not like I have 990,000 junk wax cards and then 10,000 good Cubs cards. There's a nice mix, but obviously on volume, look at how many junk wax era cards were produced. There's going to be a whole lot of them. So anybody in the junk wax era, and I'd say between the years of like 82, which I know most people don't really consider 82 junk wax era, but the years that I have the most of, probably 82 to 93. So any players that were in those years, and if they played for the Cubs in many of those years, Sean Dunston, Sandberg, who else played a majority for the Cubs during that time? Jody Davis, Sutcliffe. Although I don't see as many Sutcliffe cards. Well, he didn't come on until he was really 85. Yeah, Sutcliffe didn't have as many Cubs as like a Dunston and Sandberg. And then I guess right in the heart of the junk wax era was Andre Dawson, along with Sandberg and Dunston and Mark Grace, 88 to 92. But I'd say Sandberg because I did trades back when I did a bunch of trades. I did trades for boxes of Sandbergs, and so I'd say Ryan Sandberg. Max says Mike Harkey. There's a lot of Mike Harkey, but he didn't have a lot of Cubs cards. He was right in the heart of junk wax, but he was there from 89 to 92, and then he went to Colorado in the expansion draft. Cooter says, are you just sorting into first letter as of now, or are you fully alphabetizing as you go? Right now, just first letter. So it's going to be a double sort. So right now they go into boxes with letters. So A's, B's, C's. So what I'm sorting now is by letter. So A through Z. And then I have boxes with a Post-it that just has A on a 4-row box, B, C, D. And then I'll go back through during COVID, actually at the start of the pandemic when we were locked in our homes. That was my right from the get-go, like when we went into lockdown. I've mentioned this a few times. I read like some article or blog. It's like, do something with this time. And so that really hit home. And it's like, I'm gonna do something with this extra time. And so at that time was sorting my Cubs. And so I went through several 100,000 of my Cubs cards, but I wasn't sorting every card. I was sorting Javi Baez, Chris Bryant, Ernie Banks, Kyle Schwarber, stars. And so I went through, 200,000-300,000 cards and sorted. And then that's when eBay's like, hey, we're going to give you 50,000 free listings. And I'm like, ooh, I've got a lot of inventory to list. Everything's selling on eBay right now back in 2020. So, and then it just went into that. So yes, I'm sorting by letter, and then I'll go back through and I'll do by player. Max says Sandberg probably played the longest during the junk wax era. Yeah, he probably had the longest. You're looking at 83 to 97. Plus, he still has cards. Like every year, he has cards. Sandberg has. And the funny thing is, you go to TCDB and you look at a guy like Ryan Sandberg, and he has, according to Trading Card Database, 11,772 cards. Which is like, wow, that's a lot of cards. That's unique cards, 11,772. But let's look at a guy like who's got a ton of cards. Let's just look at Christian Hernandez, who's in single A. Christian Hernandez is in single A right now, and he has 2,000 unique cards already, and he's in single A. Who's trying to think of who else is going to have a bunch of cards for the Cubs? Who's like a rookie, or Pete Crow Armstrong. Let's see how many Pete Crow Armstrong has. What was it, 11,000 for Sandberg? Pete Crow Armstrong. Wow, Pete Crow Armstrong has less cards than Christian Hernandez. Wow, I didn't see that. Pete Crow Armstrong has 1,624 unique cards. Christian Hernandez has 1,999. Wow. And Hernandez is like barely a top 30 prospect in the organization. David says, are you surprised Sosa is signing at the National? No, I'm not. He came back to Chicago in March and signed at the Spectacular. So I think he is now, I think we'll see him at more events. Do I think he's going to be doing signings every month? No, but I think we'll see him at the National. I think we'll see him pop up at Chicago and probably some other big shows. Looks like Sosa's finally branching into the public eye again. Cooter says you need to buy the wife a sorting tray so she can help while you guys watch movies together. I can tell you that's not going to happen. Christopher Morel. Yeah, let's see how many Christopher Morel cards there are. That's a good one. Christopher Morel. Because he was a rookie last year and they pumped him on rookie cards. Holy shit! Christopher Morel has less cards than Christian Hernandez. Christopher Morel has 1,539 unique cards. And he's, what, in his third year? Is this his third year with the Cubs? I think he debuted in 2022. Wow. John, what's up? Welcome back, Sammy Sosa. Matty Ice says that is crazy. Cooter says Willie Mays had less than 300 during his career. And so he probably has a lot now, right? Because of all the because he had TCMA greats. Willie Mays has 7,281, but what, less than 300 during his 24-year career. John says there's no place for a sorting tray in the kitchen or laundry room. Cooter, Mrs. Bo needs to focus on her chores. So that's what I had for today. Sorting, little therapeutic Cubs sorting last night. Back to shipping and listing today. Listing and shipping and listing. Hit up my eBay store. It's scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Link in the description. Buy 7 or more items, 25% off. 99centcards.com. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. John says, oddly, the 300 Mays cards were actually each different designs. Yeah, now you get the same picture over and over at times. All righty. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We'll do it again tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central. See you tomorrow.